All right, there we go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's interview. Today we're joined by Ashley Koff, registered dietitian and founder of the Better Nutrition Program. I'm your host, Grayson, founder of the Profitable Practitioner, and I'm excited to be here today with Ashley to talk about how you can use the Better Nutrition tools to get better outcomes, be more efficient, and attract more clients into your business. So how are you doing today, Ashley?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much. I'm here in Columbus, Ohio, and I think we got some cool weather, so I'm enjoying the lack of humidity. Very good.
Well, it's great to have you here. A little bit of housekeeping before we dive into today. If anybody's jumping on with us right now, we're trying out a couple new things with going live, and so Ashley can share her screen and go through some of these tools. So if there's any sort of glitches or you can't see the screen, just know that we are going to post the replay to this once we're done, and we're also going to make the slides available. So if there's any sort of issues or you get cut off, we're going to make sure that you get access to all those good things today. Also, we're going to be talking about a lot of things, and so if you have questions, please post them in the group as we go. We're going to try to get to some questions at the end. If we can't get them at the end for some reason, or we get cut off, or we just run out of time, we'll be answering those in the group, in the Facebook group as we go. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into talking about you, Ashley. So I guess before we start talking about some of the tools that can get practitioners better outcomes, let's just start. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got to what you're doing now.
Thank you so much. So I had no interest ever in being a dietitian. I was going to be Angela Bauer from Who's the Boss and work in advertising and go to my advertising office and all of that. And I did that. And I actually sold sugared cereal to America and told them how good it was for them, and actually around the globe. And then also did hair color and diamonds. And somewhere in all of that, I just sort of had a disconnect with how I was feeling physically. I had some, I don't really think health issues, but I had some things that I just couldn't achieve personal health goals, and was really frustrated by them. You can read more about my story. And for those of you who I've met before, you know that it was a fateful goat's milk cleanse referred by somebody who had like pricked my blood and put it under a Fisher-Price microscope that was like, what are you doing, Koff? You know? So when I discovered the power of better nutrition for digestive health and for helping my body run better, it was just like all these light bulbs, and I got super passionate about sharing it with others. But like so many dietitians, I think at the time I went to school and then kind of was dumped into the world of private practice. And I think I was always pretty scrappy. I distinguished between scrappy and entrepreneurial. And I think my scrappiness was like, I'm going to just do as much of this as I can, and how do I do all of that? But I was never really focused on a business plan, and certainly not one where I looked at the profitability of things. Like, forget about that. That was, I'm 45 now. I think that was probably about a 41 or 42-year-old awakening. So, I think one of the amazing things about dietitians today, practitioners today, is that our expertise is really unique. We are in this era of Google and WebMD and, influencers and computers that are spewing out a lot of information. But we have the opportunity, both by being science and evidence-based and also practice-based, so having the experience to really be our own better nutrition tools, like to actually help somebody not become dependent on us. That's not what a tool is, but to work with us to help them achieve their better results. And so for me, the Better Nutrition Program and the tools really came about because over the last 20 years of working with patients from all over the world and all different backgrounds, and really then also wanting to have conversations with their practitioners, what really dawned on me was I've got to be able to really efficiently assess what's going on. And it just keeps getting more difficult with different supplements and creams. Now we have things like coffee and skincare, or charcoal and skincare, and what's that doing? And so we have to know those things. And the tools became a way for me to realize, wow, there are a lot of really high-tech things people can do and are doing, genetic testing, lab testing, all this stuff that you guys are doing. But is somebody sitting down with their patient and looking at the foods and saying, hey, are you getting in enough magnesium just from the foods and the supplements? Or even differently, are you maybe taking in more calcium because it was recommended? And is that conflicting with your overall magnesium, your body getting what it needs? So the tools for me were a way to do everything more efficiently. Gosh, I wish I would have had these when I started off my practice. But I think my hope is what they allow you to do, and what I'm hearing from practitioners like Jody, who commented, thank you, Jody, in the group, that she's using them, and they're working great, not just for your patients to be really efficient with gathering the information and feel prepared, but also with helping gain efficiencies for you, because you know that we're doing all of the work of pulling it together from, all of our tools are developed by other experts, by other better nutrition experts. So that's a long way round from what I was doing as Angela Bauer all the way through to what I'm doing today as CEO of the Better Nutrition Program.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, Ashley. One of the reasons I'm so excited to have you on today is, first of all, this is an area that I know nothing about. So I think I truly can approach this with a beginner's mind, because I am not a practitioner myself. I'm more on the marketing and sales side. So I think this is you're a great resource to everybody in the group in order to, like, once we get into a session, once we're actually working with patients, how do we get them the best outcome? So excited to jump into that. Before we switch over to actually looking at the tools and talking through some of those things, I'm going to be if anybody's jumping on right now, I'm going to be kind of quarterbacking. So if I'm looking off to my other screen, I'm still here. I'm just making sure that everything's working fine in the background, and continue to ask questions or just say hello if you're jumping on right now. So Ashley, I'd love to see some more, if you want to jump in and start showing us some of the tools and how we can use them to get better outcomes, to be more efficient and all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in.
I will. And to all of my colleagues out there, boy, did I wish I got a technology degree at the same time I was studying organic chemistry, because, this makes me a little bit nervous. One of the things I was saying to Grayson before is, as I move us over to the slides, you may not see him. Don't worry, we're still here. We're just sharing our screen. And I am wondering about, if we don't see your question in that moment, I'm going to cruise through these slides, and then we'll be able to come back to your questions. So let's go ahead and dive into that. So I'm sharing our screen. All right, there we go. And I'm coming over here to my slideshow, and we're going to play it. Okay. Wow, look at that. Okay. So, actually, Grayson, you and I are minute in the corner, so we are both being seen. So thanks, everybody, for having me here today. I'm going to cruise through. This is just the beginning in case anybody doesn't know me, but hold on, now it's on speed drive, so we don't want that. Okay, so what we're here really focusing on, why you're part of Grayson's program, we all want this feeling. Every practitioner wants, the reasons that we scream, we get excited, we have those moments are when our patients do great, but also when we feel like we're profitable, we're efficient, we're effective. That's why we got into doing this. We all have so many other skills, but this is what we're looking for. So what might be keeping you from winning? And I'm sorry, it's doing its it might be keeping you from winning. Anything from not having enough clients, not getting enough referrals from other practitioners. Your expenses you might be doing great on your revenue, but your expenses, you might not have the visibility. You might not be getting the compliance. And in today's world, you might just be dealing with what we're all dealing with, is just so much competition. So we created the Better Nutrition Tools, which it just wants to run right in and show you to do. I've got a whole blog, and you'll get all this information on. We've got over 19 reasons, but here are my top, we'll go through about the top 10 favorite. They're going to efficiently help you gather critical data. That means assessing total nutrition, so foods, beverages, supplements, and how all of those interact. It also means that when you offer these to your clients as like intake forms or perhaps in courses, they're prepared because they're filling it out ahead of time. That's so helpful. Maybe they even have some anxiety coming in to see you. Maybe they deal with an uncomfortable phone call on the drive over. They come in and they're prepared, and you're not sitting there trying to get out of them what may or may not happen or what they may or may not take. You also, if you're reviewing the forms, so for example, for me, I make sure that everybody sends me the intake form 72 hours before. I'm way more prepared. So that's a great opportunity. They also complement all the other assessments. So, I was talking about lab values, other things that we were talking about. One of the biggest wins, why are you going to win, is because it's an affordable one-time purchase. My goal as CEO of the Better Nutrition Program is not to build this program on off the money or income of individual dietitians. We're working on becoming, joining up with universities and education places and things like that. And so what we did was for practitioners like yourself, we offer them at a one-time purchase with unlimited usage. That also includes any of the updates that we're doing. So, for example, I was just saying, did you know that the potassium AI just changed from 4,700 to about 3,000? So that's changed in our tools. So we're going to be sharing that information with you. We've got track and learn tools. We've got referral generation by using these as marketing tools. And they're also ready-made lead magnets. So we've got a lot to offer for you. We also, for people who are using the tools, we invite you to join our, and it's free and included with your purchase, to join our Better Nutrition Provider Referral Network. So like yesterday, I was furiously referring 4 or 5 different practitioners I got 4 or 5 requests for practitioners. So we sent those off so we can be a referral source for your business as well. Okay, so we have evaluations like the digestive evaluation, the men's health evaluation, specific nutrients, calcium, etc. We have menus. Our menus are not meal plans. This is not like a living plate. Our menus are to demonstrate how somebody over the course of 7 days can achieve the nutrient intake if they were just going to do it with food, or what are some ideas that they could be using in this space. So these are really meant to be used as tools, not something that you have somebody do consistently. We also have these guides. These are really fun lead magnets. They're also a great way for you to get information that we've gathered from different experts so that you can pull all of that together and share it if you're maybe wondering what are people thinking or what should people know about medicinal mushrooms or CBD. And also, how can I just give somebody a worksheet or maybe include in one of my programs a worksheet on better nutrition before and after antibiotics. I had somebody who purchased our CBD guide who just came out with her CBD blog, and she said, wow, I felt so much better informed having the information because you had gone and interviewed these experts. And I said, yeah. So it was about 10 hours of my time that boiled down into about 30 minutes of your time. So great on that part. We also have our tracker. So our Better Nutrition journal will allow you to track and help them learn. So what do we need to be looking at and how do we assess that on an ongoing basis? So I thought I would quickly share a case study. I'm not going to dive too deep into this because I also have a video that I can share with you guys on this. But this is an example of a patient that we all get, right? So she's dealing with acid reflux, bloating. Her doctor said she had acid reflux and he wants her to take a medication. She didn't want to take it because she had read and Googled that those pills can hurt her bones. But then she also was saying, like, I'm trying to do things like not eat carbs. I'm trying keto. I think she was a little more keto-ish, to be honest. And, she's trying all of that. And then at the end, she says, maybe I'm just allergic to something. Can I come see you for that? So this is an exact replica of what I then send her. Wonderful. Where are you located? Blah, blah, blah. Here's my information. Here's my fee. But please fill out all of these forms and notice that, and take photos, and notice that they have to be back 3 days before. So that 72 hours is really critical. So I have my own intake form, which asks things about like what makes you laugh and just some generic information. It has my privacy statement. But then I also have my digestive evaluation and the tracking. And so we went ahead and filled that out. Now, one important thing to note is these tools are all downloadable, uploadable and downloadable in things like Practice Better and places like that if you're working with those. So in Sarah's instance, she came through, I had all of this information ahead of time, right? So what we know is when we have information about our patients, things like, are they concerned about certain things, or are these things actually happening? Are you somebody who in the past has taken medications for yeast and sinus infections? Does your poop smell? What are you doing? And when they edit certain things in, like menopause, or for here, she said, instead of getting in a rainbow of color from plants, she wrote, I try. Well, that's actually really valuable information for me to know because I want to support her in the knowledge that she is trying on that part, right? And in other things, she said over here, which was like a big jump out, I said, do you go number 2 only once a day? Well, she said if she waits any longer, she takes something, right? So here we know that she's relying on other things to help her go to the bathroom. We get so much more information. So based on that, I knew all of this stuff that I wanted to do ahead of time. I actually jot down notes when I review these, and these are the things that I want to go ahead and do. I want to know what are those medications that she's taken and how often, or if any of them are supplements. I'm going to actually use our calcium and magnesium assessment tool probably even during the session with her to just really quickly get a sense of where I am on the magnesium front, or we might set that up as another one. And then I'll talk to her about things like about fiber, bloating, gas-producing foods, and we're going to be able to review some of the other information. And again, you guys, I'm breezing through this one. Of course, more thorough than that. And what it allowed me to do, as you can see, is really lay out what her personalized recommendations would be. So what we're able to do, you guys are doing so much of this already, this just allows you to have the confidence that you're putting all the different pieces together, right? So you might have even had a stool assessment about her. You might have had lab values, but guess what? There's no lab value that can tell you if the body's getting enough magnesium. You might have done genetic testing. It might turn out she's got, MTHFR, maybe she doesn't do well with absorption of certain cruciferous vegetables, different things like that. You might know all of that, but what we needed to know is what is she currently doing, because that's going to help us know what we want to improve. So here you can see just a range of things, everything from breathing to, I talked to her about alkaline-forming foods. So in her, when she got her, and we went over her health plan, I gave her the alkaline-forming guide so that she can refer back to it. Gave her information on liquid nutrition and when to use that liquid nutrition. And then I gave her supplement recommendations. And this is a perfect opportunity for you to include, for example, if you have a supplement store, right in there, you would add in the supplements. Then another key thing, and this is such a money win for everybody, I also share all of this, or I offer to share, and if she wants me to share, or if she wants to share herself, the recommendations with her practitioners. And I don't say, can I share this with your doctor? I say, can I share this with your practitioners, like your doctor, your trainer? She happened to mention that she goes to a chiropractor, and also in the past has gone to an acupuncturist. So that is like natural referral networking that's going to happen, and be able to also help me help the patient better. So
actually, I didn't know that was one of the recommendations, and I think that's just an awesome strategy to really set yourself apart when people are thinking about, like, well, why should I refer to this person versus the next person? And having something where I'm sure they're going to be blown away when they see this assessment and how detailed it is, to say, hey, it's obvious. Like, I'm not getting this from anybody else, so I'm going to start sending more referrals here. I think that's just great.
Yeah, thank you. And we actually have a win for a health coach. I help the health coach work with dermatologist's office, and she's doing the digestive evaluation because, as we all know, acne and so many skin issues are actually digestive issues, right? And so she just said to them, hey, I've got this evaluation, and then I can do this tune-up with your patients, and we can be working on that part. And she's totally doing it within, her scope. And that just became suddenly, like, she's super busy in the beginning. And she had said to me, oh, my background is I had psoriasis, and I just really care about helping people with their skin. I want them to know it's a nutrition issue. And you'll love this, Grayson. She had written 10 blogs, and her website was like all about, like, she was just giving away all this information on there and whatever. And I was like, why don't you actually take this to the other practitioners? And that's exactly the feedback that they gave. So yes. And then, so we've got things like the digestive evaluation, and then it leads you, all of these can lead you to different places depending on what you're working on with your client. You might do just the potassium evaluation, or you might really work with them on potassium and sodium, especially, if you're looking at somebody maybe in the fitness space or in the heart health space, and just gives you the ability to really talk to them about how nutrient balance works. So as promised, I cruised through this. I just want you guys to know that thank you, Grayson. So we are offering a 20% off of the shop. So you can use the code for any tool, but especially the shop. You just use GC20. And then because you're in Grayson's group, I'm also including 2 private sessions with me on that part. Hang on, we might have just lost it. Okay, there we go. 2 private sessions, which is a value of $1,000. They're supposed to be 30-minute sessions. I often get really enthusiastic about people's business and go a little bit longer. But the idea is that it really helps me be an accountability partner as well as a strategist for you and your business and how we implement these. And then, of course, don't forget when you purchase to click yes so that we know you're a practitioner, so that we get you the information about applying for our referral network so that we can also refer you. So I'm going to, there we go. I think this is going to work. Let me come back to this. And we're coming back up I'm coming back to camera. And there we are. We did it. Yeah, we even got 1 heart. Thank you, whoever gave a heart. I feel like, gosh, I could have gotten through 20 different exams on organic chemistry, but that was nerve-wracking. So thank you on that part. Yeah. So what questions came up for you, Grayson?
I'm always clued into, or I always pay attention to like, how's this going to help people get more clients, and how can we use that to set themselves apart in their practice. And two of the things that stood out that I didn't realize until we just hopped on, which is exactly why we're doing this, is first of all, the ready to use lead magnets. If you're working with people, if you want to specialize in digestive health, it makes total sense to have some sort of lead magnet that attracts people to your practice by giving away something related to digestive health. And I think that's a big sticking point, is that people want to give stuff away. They want to have ways to engage with their audience, but don't really even know what to give them. And it's this intimidating process. But being able to use that as a starting point of, hey, just use one of our tools as a giveaway to attract the people. I think that's a really, really valuable asset to have in their arsenal.
Yeah.
The other one, like I just mentioned, was the ability to send this material to other practitioners. When somebody's looking to refer people, we're always looking for a reason, like, well, why should I choose that person over the next person? Like, just because you called me once, or just because you sent me a business card, doesn't mean that like we have any sort of connection. But if I can see that, wow, this person really has their stuff together and has this great content, and it's evidence that they are doing everything they can to get great outcomes, absolutely I'm going to want to refer to them more than somebody else. So those two things were I guess, really started ringing the bells in my head of like, hey, this can be great assets to attract more people into the business, not just necessarily in an individual session of working with somebody. So trying to think if I have any other questions along those lines, but that's really what stood out to me, and I didn't know that, so I appreciate you sharing those things.
Yeah, and I think, and we talked a little bit about this, you and I, like behind the scenes, a little BTS here, but also, I think we're spending so much time trying to compete in social media, or even with, click-throughs and, generating, having like, opening of our emails and things like that. And so, my feeling is we want to provide that high value. And so what we've been doing when we've been creating the Better Nutrition tools is really thinking of, especially with the guides, what is going to be high value, what's different than what's out there. So for example, our CBD guide or our medicinal mushroom guides, we're not going through, like, yes, we're going to explain what these things are. And also we're going to debunk some of the things. Like, for example, in our probiotic guide, we talk about kombucha in there. And it's like, kombucha, yes, it's a source of probiotics. How much probiotic and what strains are you getting in any kombucha? Kind of depends, and you don't know. And we can't kind of depend and not know when we're trying to heal someone's digestion. So these are just things that, we'll tackle in those. And the ability to use those in social media as a way to, from a lead magnet standpoint, so that your ROI isn't, wow, I got a like or a follower for my pretty picture. It's like, or even a click over to my blog can be meaningful. But if I'm actually engaging with someone and getting in emails, we all know that's going to be where the magic happens, where we can have more conversations. So that part is really great. We actually heard a lot of questions from practitioners who have been purchasing the shop in the last 6 months, and we actually had only been offering the shop for about 3.5 months. And I love to listen. So I love to listen to practitioners to understand, how are you actually using these and how can I make them better? So what we've also done, and this is a big one as you talk about what sets you apart, you as a practitioner are what sets you apart. So it's not your logo, even though like your logos are awesome, and I want to acknowledge everyone for coming up with great logos. But it really is you that sets them apart. And you're going to succeed by not competing in information sharing, but rather competing as a tool that somebody can use and rely on. And so one of the things that we heard was, Ashley, for those of us that are practitioners, that we've been working for a good bit of time, or even we're starting out, but we really know our stuff, we don't want to share other people's recommendations in our tools. So the end of every evaluation, for example, has recommendations that we've gleaned from the practitioners who are helping to develop them. And so what we're creating for the people who purchase the shop of tools is that you can get a provider version in addition to the consumer version. You get both sets. So you're actually getting 2 sets of tools. And the second set doesn't have any hyperlinks to the Better Nutrition Program, doesn't have a promotion for the Better Nutrition Program supplement store. We're trying to make those things easy for the consumer on the other side, but we understand the value of you having it for your business. And instead, it has an area for you to write your notes and your hyperlinks and your information in there. So that's something that's new that'll be coming out in September. But for anyone who purchases before September 1, you're going to be the first round of people to get the provider versions as well as the consumer version. So a little more information on that part, again, came from having those conversations with practitioners to really understand how do you use the tools better in your practice.
That's great. So I just want to pause for a second. I know we have a few people on. If you have questions or want to ask Ashley or me anything, please go ahead and type them in so we can get to those. Just want to reiterate, if people are interested in these tools, you do get a discount for being on today's webinar. If you use promo code GC20, that's going to take 20% off any of the tools that you purchase. Part of the reason I was bringing Ashley on here is that I had a couple of my own clients that had purchased the tools and really liked them. So it just seemed like a perfect fit to be able to bring Ashley on and share some of these tools with you guys as well. I really like that you're rolling out another version and grandfathering those people in that have already purchased. So if you guys get in before, was it September 1st that you're rolling out the provider version? You'll be grandfathered in and you'll get both of those versions. You'll be the first one to get both of those versions. So highly encourage you to check that out. See, I don't see any more questions coming in. What else do people need to know, Ashley?
I think at the end of the day, first of all, I just love I had the opportunity now to dive into some of the content in the group and just was, when I was preparing for this. And, I think profitability is such an important phrase to think about. And really, obviously it's what you're focusing your business on. And, as I shared before, there are a lot of different decisions that we make in our careers as dietitians. But I think one of the ones that I feel has been the hardest to overcome is the desperation that comes when I have so many different things that I feel like I need to get done, or I can be a little shiny object or just like, oh my gosh, I got to fix this or I've got to do this, and I keep doing stuff. And it isn't, and then at the end of the month, I sit back and say like, wow, like if I actually looked at the hours and costed out the hours that I spent on this as opposed to if there was an easier way. So one of the things that I'm really looking to do these days, and I'll give a great example, I want to have a whiteboard video of how the tools work, because as much as I can explain them, I'm sure a whiteboard does it in 30 seconds, whereas I do it in like an hour, that kind of thing. And so I sat on this Sunday and I started Googling, I was looking at Doodly and I was going to buy it for $67 instead of using the more expensive one and all this other stuff. And then I just went on Upwork and I interviewed people, and I've got someone for less than $500 who's developing the video. I think it'll be great. Like obviously there can be issues with that. But I sat there and said, at the end of the day, I don't need to know how to develop whiteboards. And what I did instead was I went through all the different medications that, as we all know, within P450, there are all these isozymes. And so CBD has interactions with medications and with supplements. And since tomorrow's National CBD Day, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on the 7th, I was like, you know what, I got to get out there because I'm so worried about all these different practitioners and patients who are going to be drinking CBD or applying CBD or thinking it's a fun thing to ask for an upgrade in your coffee. And if you take a statin drug or you do any of these other things, I need them to know it might not be bad. You just have to understand what the changes are that could happen. So I may never know how to do a whiteboard, but I know how to do that part. And my goal with the tools is that they're going to help you continue to figure out other things so that when I refer patients to you and through the program, et cetera, you're going to be the one who is being able to spend more time on learning all of these different pieces and, and incorporating it all in and leaving me in the dust from a practitioner standpoint. But I just think we have to be more protective of, and also maybe reduce the expectations we put on our brain of everything as business owners that we have to know and do ourselves. So just like I want somebody to come to you as an expert, I want to make sure that they are, we're freeing up your expertise availability time. And that's really the goal of the tools.
That's great. And you're so right. I think that's one of the challenges of working with so many very competent people is that they could absolutely figure it out themselves. But should they? Probably for most things, I would say not. And sometimes the cheapest option of doing it ourselves end up being the most costly thing in the long run because it pulls us out of doing the things that we're truly exceptional at. So, well said. I totally agree with you on those points. Let me see if there's anything else coming in. I think we gave people a lot to chew on today,
That's
so
right.
I'm excited to see what comes in into the comment feed. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the program today, we're going to be posting the slides, we're going to be posting the replay. So if you have questions or want to continue to follow up with Ashley, we'll make sure to monitor those comments and respond appropriately. One more time, if you're interested in checking out our tools and you want the discount, just GC20 is going to get you that discount for any of the products in her store. So anything else, Ashley, before we wrap up today?
No, I'm excited. Grayson, I just wish I had met you way back when, because you really could have helped me accelerate my business and hone in on profitability. But I feel very lucky that we're meeting at this point in time. So thank you.
Likewise. I'm impressed with what you're doing, and I appreciate you being on here today to share all this good stuff with our practitioners. So Ashley, it's been fun. I appreciate all your time, and look forward to doing this again soon.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
See ya.